I had been ditching school in the 8th grade pretty regularly. By springtime, I barely attended classes at all. I was good at forging my mom's signature on sick notes. Too good. And the office ladies stopped questioning the messy loops and crooked letters. I don't really know why I did it. It wasn't like I was running around town having adventures. Most days, I just stayed home, moving quietly through a house that felt safer when it was empty. I was part of a generation they call latchkey kids. My parents left for work when I was just getting up, and they came home hours after the final school bell. They had no idea that instead of walking to campus, I would make myself a bowl of cereal and settle in front of the TV. My daily routine was reruns of I Love Lucy, Green Acres, and my favorite, Sanford and Son. Those shows were bright and loud and predictable. Nothing like real life. One afternoon, everything changed. The school called my parents about my absences. Normally, they would have called my mother, but this time they reached my stepfather. I didn't know any of this. All I knew was that I was halfway through an episode when I saw his car pull into the driveway hours earlier than usual. My stomach dropped, but I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he'd forgotten something, maybe work let out early. I stayed in my room, pretending I was doing homework and I hadn't heard the engine. He came in the house and dropped his keys in the bowl by the front door. I heard his footsteps. Then he knocked on my door. "Come out here," he said. Not yelled, not barked, asked. And that alone scared me more than any shouting ever had. He led me into the primary bedroom and told me to sit on the edge of the bed. He sat beside me, quiet in a way that made the air feel thick. Then he said, "Lay back." I did what I was told. While I stared at the ceiling, one thought circled my mind. Is this it? Is this where something happens that I can't undo? I had seen enough after-school specials to know how stories like this went, and how they never ended up with the adults believing the kid. He just looked at me, for what felt like forever, but was just minutes. Then his voice came out rough, like something was stuck in his throat. "Get up. Go to your room." I didn't walk. I ran, shutting the door behind me with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. That evening, my mother came home and I got the talk about ditching school. It wasn't really talking, just yelling that danced around every real issue in that house. No one asked why I didn't want to be at school. No one asked why I felt safer alone. They didn't ask because they both knew. That night I lay awake, staring into the dark. What if that had been it? I was a kid, but I wasn't naive. I knew how the world blamed girls first. And I knew, deep down, that my mother would choose him over me. She always had. It was the last week of school. My punishment for ditching was restriction, which meant nothing since they'd already barred me from the 8th grade graduation ceremonies. I didn't care. I had bigger problems than missing a ceremony with kids who barely knew me. After 2 days of replaying that moment in the bedroom, the pressure valve finally broke. I ran again. Hey, if you enjoy real, honest stories like this, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. It helps this channel reach people who need to hear they're not alone. Of course, I went somewhere familiar, Azusa. I hitchhiked up to Sierra Madre Boulevard and walked to my friend Charlie's house. Her place always smelled like cookies and lemon cleaner, the kind of home where you could breathe and just be a kid. I knocked and Mrs. Carter answered. "Well, hi, hon. You looking for Charlie?" she asked before I even spoke. "Yes, ma'am." "Well, come on in." Everything felt normal. That was the miracle of the Carter house. Normal existed there. Charlie was stretched across her bed listening to music when I opened the door. She sat up, eyes wide. "What are you doing here?" 12 miles might as well have been another country back then. I shut the door and told her everything. The ditching, getting caught, the strange afternoon with my stepfather, the fear that wouldn't leave my chest. She hugged me and whispered, "We'll figure it out." Her parents and mine weren't close. They barely spoke unless arranging a sleepover. That distance, it became my lifeline. For 2 weeks, no one from my house even called. That first day, Charlie and I acted like it was summer already. We ate sandwiches Mrs. Carter made. We baked a crooked cake, Charlie snatching the frosting-covered spoon and running through the house, me chasing her and both of us cracking up laughing. When Charlie asked if I could stay the night, her mom mentioned calling mine. "Oh, that's okay," I said too fast. "I already called her. She said yes." Mrs. Carter accepted it, relieved she didn't have to make the call herself. For a couple of nights, we had sleepovers. Then I pretended to go home after dinner, saying my parents were picking me up at the 7-Eleven on the corner. What really happened was this. I'd buy a soda, circle the block, slip through the Carter's side gate, and tap on Charlie's bedroom window. She'd help me climb in, and we'd play games and whisper until her parents walked the hall. Then I'd hide in the closet, heart pounding. At bedtime, Charlie had to open her door, house rule, so her parents could hear her if she needed them. That meant I couldn't stay inside. So we made a plan. Each night, I would crawl back out the window. Charlie passed me a sleeping bag and a pillow, and I would curl up under her window like a secret cat. In the morning, she pulled everything back inside, and I wandered the neighborhood until it was reasonable to knock and ask if Charlie could come out and play. It worked for almost 2 weeks. Then Charlie had what we thought was a brilliant idea. She'd ask her parents if I could stay a couple of weeks, since it was summer. No more window routine, no more hiding. Mrs. Carter called my mother to check. That was the moment everything unraveled. The Carters discovered I hadn't been visiting, I'd been missing. I don't know what was said between our parents. I imagine tight voices, long pauses, maybe even accusations. All I do know is that somehow the Carters convinced them to let me come on their family trip to El Capitan for 2 weeks. A reset, they called it. And the surprise was, my parents agreed. That trip has become the brightest memory of my childhood. The Carters brought a moped, and Charlie and I tore around the campground like joyful lunatics. We sang at the top of our lungs, ate dripping ice cream cones, swam until our fingers wrinkled, and collapsed on warm sand while the sun turned the sky pink. Charlie's parents stayed in their trailer, and we stayed in a tent right outside. Not for the first time, I saw what a family could look like when love was normal. No yelling through walls, no slammed doors. No fear humming under every meal. No eyes watching you in an uncomfortable way. Just ordinary kindness. The closer the end of the trip came, the heavier my chest felt. I knew nothing at home would magically change. My stepfather wouldn't wake up gentle. My mother wouldn't suddenly see and protect me. I was 13, but I understood one adult truth. You can love people and still not be safe with them. On the last night, after everyone else was asleep, I walked to the nearby beach. I sat on the sand alone, watching the waves folding over themselves like quiet breathing. And I made a promise to myself that I didn't yet know how to keep. I will not stay where I am afraid. I didn't know what freedom looked like, only that I was going to find it. When we drove back to town, the mountain shrinking in the rear window, I felt two things at once: gratitude for the Carters and a hard new resolve. I would go home, but I wouldn't stay long. My first day free was right around the corner. If you see yourself in this story, you don't have to carry fear alone. If you're dealing with unsafe situations at home, help is available. The National Teen Crisis Hotline can be reached at 1-800-448-4663. You can reach the Child Help National Abuse Hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by dialing 1-800-422-4453. There is a crisis text line. You just text the word HOME, HOME, to number 741-741. And if you're in immediate danger, please call 911. You deserve safety, belief, and a future that feels like your own.